like, good. So we took the phone block off the phone. 2 weeks later, he came into the store and into the room where I was, and I had my back to the door. And he comes up and he grabs me by the back of the neck. And he says, I gotta talk to you. And I had no idea who it was. So I jumped out of my chair and saw who it was. And he pulls a gun out of his pants. Pulled his gun out and aimed at him, fired twice, and it misfired. The third one went off and hit my dad. My dad fell. My sister and I ran to each other. I held her tight, and I said, Lene. She just stayed silent. I said, Lene, Mom? She shook her head. Graham shook her head. I said, are they both dead? She shook her head, yes. I just held her tight, and I said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And at that moment, feeling to survive kicked in almost like an animal instinct. Something I'd never experienced and don't ever want to experience again. And right then, our minds came together and we knew we had to come up with a plan. So, Lene and I immediately started doing what they told us to do. Swim like the experts say you're supposed to do. This stuff is hard to swim in. It's solid and you can't move in it.
I feel my snowmobile tumble over the top of me, cartwheeled over the back of my leg. But really, I didn't even feel the pain at that point in time. It was just all happening so fast. I've heard that you can help yourself stay alive a little bit longer by creating that air pocket. So I'm just bringing my hands up to create that air pocket, and everything stops. And then I can't move. I'm just solid. I'm in there. I mean, literally, I'm up on my way to my face, and it's just like I was frozen in the snow. I can't move.
When I saw that gun, I mean, part of me was total panic. You know, I need to get out of here. But I think part of me, I really thought, I can control this. I can somehow get out of this. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But I don't know. I wasn't in total panic. I mean, I know I wanted to get out of there. At the time, I really didn't think that he was going to pull the trigger right then. I didn't know what to do, so I made eye contact with one other male employee that we have, and he and I dashed for the door. He was going to, call 911, obviously, and I was just trying to get away. So we were out the door, and, several feet, maybe 10 feet or so away from the store. And sure enough, Giselle was right on my tail, and he knocks me down and drags me right across the sidewalk, up the step, back into the building. And there I laid on the floor, right in this walkway. And people were scattering and, calling 911, going under their desk. And he holds a gun to my head, and he says, "You are going to die today for what you've done to me." Speaking with these men, it wasn't an objective make friends with them. It was to be casual, get them to be comfortable and get information out of them, so they're not freaking out and making decisions that we can't anticipate. It was a very quick thought process of what do we need to do to survive? What do we need to do to understand the situation so we can get out of it? We've got to stop this car. We've got to stop proceeding because my uncle just saw us. At some point, he's going to clue in that those girls went somewhere they shouldn't have gone. So we've got to slow down the situation. So immediately I said, I have to go to the restroom. I have to go to the restroom. And as we're driving down, he said, okay, but if you do anything funny at all, consider your sister dead. We pulled up to the gas station, and the driver said, no, this doesn't look right. I don't feel comfortable. This doesn't look right. So we continued down the road to go to the next town, to the next gas station. As we're in between the two towns, a cop started coming by us and passing us. The driver immediately began to freak out. There's a cop, man. The one in the back said, calm down, cool off, man. It's just a cop, relax. Continued to proceed. The cop turns around, he knows the rearview mirror, turns around. He's turned around, and he's like, were you speeding, you idiot? Were you speeding? And he's going, and the cop starts chasing him. As he starts chasing him and moving quicker, another cop started proceeding towards us. At that point, both men knew something's going on. He gunned it, stepped on the pedal, and started to go very, very fast. Then he started to drive extremely fast, and at that point, I ducked and hid under my coat. I looked over at the speedometer going well over 100 miles an hour on this little road, and blowing through this town, he's honking his horn as fast as he can, flying, and there's cops behind us with sirens, and we drive, and we eventually come to a turn. The roads are slick, it's winter time, he slides and hits the side of this other gas station. Quickly, all the cops surround the car and draw down on us. He reaches and grabs the gun and goes, get back, and I'll shoot shoot him. I got hostages. Get back. And so the cops, move the cars back, and he pulls back and proceeds to go down this dugway, this ravine. He's going way too fast, loses control of the car, and hits the side of this dugway, and the car pops up and slides down the guardrail and goes backwards. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to go off a cliff.
So the avalanche stops moving, and miraculously, my head's sticking out of the snow. I yell for Chris and Brett. Chris, Brett, just yelling for them, saying their names. You guys okay? We're just in an avalanche, expecting those guys to be able to talk, communicate a little bit, but there was nothing. There was none of that. They couldn't hear. They were buried. And then I began to worry. They got all three of us. I was not the only one in this thing. We're in big trouble. That's the point at which I start trying to get myself out of this thing. I just start moving my shoulders a little bit as best I could and freeing up my arms. And as I free up my arms, I can get my arms out, and then I pull myself out of this snow. And it was hard. It was tough to get out of there. I stand up and take a look at this huge field of debris, and it takes your breath away at how much damage and destruction that this thing has done on the area, and I happen to be alive through all of that. It takes a minute for that to soak in. It's a pretty sickening feeling when you first come out of the snow and realize your two best friends are buried and they're relying on you. It's all on you. The decisions I'm making right now are life and death.